I haven't been changing hashtags. I haven't been doing videos. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does now.
So it does now, but I'll start adding that stuff in.
Yeah.
But changing my own content slightly.
Yeah. I thought hashtags were like a Scottish food a couple of years ago. And it was Chris, bless him, need to do this. Rick Coulson, former Royal Marines Commando.
Yes.
And turned into a fantastic artist in many mediums as well.
Thank you.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I can draw pretty well, but your stuff that crosses like 3D work, collage, painting, pencil drawing, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, there's a wildlife artist called Steve Burgess who's on he's one of the top wildlife artists, and he says, I wish I could be as prolific as you, and he obviously paints in oil. And I suppose when I'm creating, I'm just trying, I want to learn different mediums to see my potential where I'm at with it, because, you know, like anything, we should try and improve on any weaknesses or areas for improvement. So I find stuff, but it's got to have meaning, try and give it meaning, you know, at that moment in time, or expand on something I create. Like I haven't touched oils yet. I'd like to in future, but I'm also self-taught, so I've explored the notion of a degree. Then I thought, would the degree allow me to just be me, but also teach me different techniques, but allow me to be me and not someone else. I don't want to be someone else.
Yeah.
You know, I'm creating what I want to create on what comes from here, and then I sell to here. You know, be it a gift, a keepsake, a memento, and that's where, you know, that inspiration from my background and life now helps me. I never get like a writer's block for creating.
No.
I'm never short for inspiration. I'll write my ideas down. I've got, you know, where I want to be. I know where I want to get to, and that's an audience with King. And I know I'm going to achieve that, and I know how I'm going to do that. And I know this goes, obviously, out across social media. I haven't put it on there in case someone copies it, because there's people who've been copying my ideas from when I've been doing stuff. So I've got I told people privately, and I tell you privately, but I don't want to be... It's hard. What I've got planned should give me that audience in the location where it would be at, which will be at the Festival of Remembrance. So it's military related, obviously, what I do with artworks. But my mum was a very talented artist, and she went to art college. My daughter can draw, and she uses it for therapy. And I had a natural talent for it, and so did sibling. And then when I created the poppies, after being out on Mountain Way with Andy Shaw in Pyrenees 5 years ago, we
just explain how Andy Shaw is.
So Andy was a Royal Marine who was from Keighley in West Yorkshire. He joined up as a more mature recruit, became top recruit, what's known as a King's Badge, and then he subsequently went officer and came top officer. And there's only 5 people who ever done that, and 2 of them are from Keighley, funnily enough, because I know both of them.
We're standing in the area of the Low Pass, which is the northern end of the Darwin Goose Green Isthmus. Behind me is Mount Usborne, and just over my right shoulder up there is the area of Port St. Carlos.
And Royal Marines officers trainer.
Yeah, he came top and got the Sword of Honour.
Yeah.
So he came top of that. So, yeah, one of only 5 people in the history to ever do it.
Do they do all the training at CTC?
Yeah, and that's the difference between the Marines and other services, is the Marines and the recruits and the young officers do the training together. So it's not like the Army with Sandhurst and the Naval College at Dartmouth, up Navy.
Do you think that's better for camaraderie over that? You know your officers, you can see them training next to you.
There's a standard set as well, yeah. I think that, the Greenberry gives that standard.
Yeah.
And it's, it's not given out lightly. I know it's modern times, people say this, but it's still achievements people have got to pass academically and physically.
Yeah.
Consistently through training. So, it's changed training-wise, time-wise for the recruits and officers around 14 months, I believe. Like when I went through training, which beginning of 1997, it was 30 weeks training.
Really?
And then it went up to 32 weeks because of an MVQ Public Service Level 2 award, and extra weapon systems were being added in. The Mini-Me machine gun, the thermobaric rocket launchers, underslung grenade launchers. There were all manner of extra weapon systems coming in, so that added time was needed in the recruit syllabus. And now they do these. They join just before or something. Do this sort of like not foundation, but like and then it molds them in to recruit training. But as long as them standards are still achieved, then it's proven nothing's changed with results going on operations. The standards of soldiering's there when it matters operationally.
Do you think that's a generation thing, Rick? Giving young lads this pre-course just to see if they're
I think so. I think they're living in different times, and I think those before us will say they live in different times. Like we say, the Second World War generation, the med of different stock. We say it openly. It doesn't matter if it was civilian or military, the med from different stuff. We say that. And yet now the generation now, and I know where they're heroes from the Afghan campaign, like the Falklands campaign, they're heroes in the Second World War. Yeah. They're not outdoors as much. They're not climbing trees, upper body. They're not exposed to all elements because they're inside. Yeah, they call it Generation X, and for PlayStation generation and radiators for starters. What were a radiator?
Yeah, central heating.
Excuse me.
Indoor toilets.
Yeah, yeah. They've got to meet that standard. That standard's there. Ain't just allowed. You're going to pass because you're quite there. It's not. You will go back in training if you cannot pass it. So, but upper body, I noticed it when I was teaching recruits. Is their upper body, they were failing more on the rope side of it, and that's a really big thing in recruit training, in Royal Marines training.
Regain.
Well, the regains is sort of like what they call an alpine traverse, learning to get back on the rope technique, and it's good, but the ropes going up the 30-foot ropes, you've got kit on 32 pounds. So the weight of the webbing replicates operational webbing, like your belt kit, for like 20, well, it used to be 22 pounds, I think it's 21 pounds now, and then your 10-pound weapon. So you do all your tests throughout training with them weights. The criteria test, so the speed marching from the 4, the 6, the 9, and the 3 other Commando tests with that, plus the bottom field tests, which is 4 tests with that as well. And that used to be around week 20. And I thought it's around the fittest you'll probably be, because as you go on in training, you then start to deteriorate with the intensity. You're in and out of the field constantly. You're practicing for the tempos quicker. But you're naturally getting more tired. I just got exhausted at end of training, and they say it takes normally about 18 months fully, properly to repair from commando training.
Yeah,
but there's not many young ones like I was, still 18 when I passed out. But I personally believe more mature, and because your body's developing, it should be around 21. Even though people pass, your body's still developing, but your mindset, you're in a proper man's world as well. And at 18, you ain't a man. Not when you enter something like that. That's when you realise you're classed as an adult in society. You can be classed that if you go to war, but until that point, you're in a man's world, Yeah. I remember my mum's boyfriend always saying, just before I joined, saying, just remember it, no matter where you go, there's always someone harder than yourself. And, you soon keep shut, when you join Marines. But you just remember little bits, and it was a tougher existence, I suppose. There's more it's not affluent is the word I'm looking for, but society is richer now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we didn't have as much. We didn't have all that tech. Yeah, computers were there, and Atari and Commodore and all this, but it VHS or Betamax or whatever, Video Man coming around back at car. But you was constantly outdoors. You were always playing out. You were doing stuff. There were no fear. This health and safety brigade. Some of it used to obviously be relevant. But I remember a child getting killed on the skateboard, coming down, and they built a skate park. But that skate park should have existed really in an area already. But then skateboards were coming out. So it's like, in the 80s, society is constantly changing, and then the numbers of people are growing as well. So, for example, there's more cars on the road. So
many.
Yeah.
I know when you join a unit that you've got to have a basic good knowledge of the Corps' history and whatnot.
Yeah.
Are you more of a?
I know more now. I know more now of the Corps history.
Yeah.
It's ingrained into your during training, and that's mainly when you're doing your drill with your drill instructor. So every troop joins. There used to be every 2 weeks, and you're assigned your training team. You have your corporals, like your section corporals. There are a multitude of specialisations now, but predominantly back then there used to be heavy weapons and platoon weapons. Yeah, mortars or tanks, yeah. And then your PTI and your drill instructor, then you have your troop sergeant and your troop officer. And when you do drill, you'd be asked questions like adjutant's inspection. He would be asking you a question. If you got it wrong, well, you don't want to be getting it wrong. But that goes to tradition and heritage. Not just, it's your cat badge you're joining, but there's a rich history there going back to, Kronenberg 1664. I know obviously there's Lager, but and that's what the Royal Marines stem from. From when they were raised under a different name.
Well, wasn't I know a fair bit about World War II with were they classed as army commandos?
Yeah, so when the commandos were formed, and this was based on when Churchill said, look, I want to set Europe ablaze. And it's this butcher and bolt type. And they came from the notion of these, or the name commando, there were the Boers in the South African war, the Dutch farmers. And then it's coming from Spanish and one other as well. Obviously small raiding parties basically can cause havoc, and they came from the army, so they were saying, right, you need to set this up, and this is, so they had free reign. So a lot of the officers would say, right, well, I'm from the Cameron Highlanders, and I'm going to pick all my best men, and I'm going to take them to this new unit we're going to form. And then the Royal Marines then had to play into it, and then it became the Royal Marines Commandos. So, and then the Army Commandos in their battalion sizes obviously disbanded after World War II. But during that time, so they were an eclectic mix. It's like numbers 2 and 3 Commando did the first ever commando operation up in Norway. The Lofoten Islands, the Lofoten Raid, that were the first ever one. Operation Claymore. And then, the first opposed one is the book I'm reading now, the Latina River in Syria. That was the first commando force opposed landing with support troops, which were Australians. So under fire on an amphibious landing. It's incredible, but there were a lot of successes and a lot of failures as well. During that period, so they were lucky to survive. But we needed these troops to
and a new way of thinking.
As soldiering, it's Well, they wanted to strike hard, and they'd modelled it a bit off the Blitzkrieg idea anyway of that will sweep through. So in a smaller scale. So we're going to hit that target, but and when we go on about hardness of people and the qualities they instilled. I mean, yeah, they'd be training down in Cornwall abseiling with a rope around the body, no harness, and they'd be abseiling down them cliffs. So it's incredible.
Yeah, I've seen. Oh, do you remember that Behind the Lines series?
Yeah. It's one of the guys on my Facebook, Russ.
Yeah, I just thought it was brilliant because you've got these proactive. I mean, commandos are proactive, not like a few others.
Well, there's the more intelligent. We tend to get a better selection of society.
Yeah.
So you tend to get a more intelligent guy. And there's no disrespect to the army.
Yeah.
Or other services available. There just tends to be. It's not everybody, obviously, you know. Some of the guys are like this.
Yeah.
But and there's criteria, as I said, academically to pass.
Yeah.
So that weeds it out, and that will do in the selection processes. When I went in a potential recruits course, I mean, I remember going into Leeds careers office and said I wanted to join Marines. It's like, right, jump up on that pull-up bar. So I jumped up this way, and he went, turn your hands the other way. And bearing in mind, I've got a shirt and a tie on. So that's how you turned up to careers office. Yeah. And he went, right, start banging them out. So you start doing it, it's like higher to your chest. And right, as many as you can do, but they don't tell you how many.
And he said it's not careers office, it's next door, mate.
Yeah, I know, that's it, yeah. I know, and you jump out, you're like, I mean, red, and, you know, and they didn't tell you, and it's like, yeah, right, okay, come with me. Yeah. So, and if not, obviously, they'll turn around to people and say, right, come back in 6 months, do some more training on your upper body. And if you think about it, you don't climb when you're assaulting buildings this way, you climb over. So, there's reasons sort of why for stuff.
So just to get a more solid picture of you joining, when did you join?
So I joined January 1997.
97.
Yeah, so 714 troop was number troop I joined.
Yeah, and what was the waiting time then to get down to Exmouth off that?
I'd done my potential recruit course and passed it in the November, and they said you can either join before Christmas, and bear in mind I'm going to be 18 on the 18 in the December, or you join after. And I said I'll join after. If I had joined that troop before, the one planned, it was the same troop which one of the recruits got killed. He died on the 30-mile Commando test whilst I were in training. So it's ironic, really, how things sort of like pan out. But I wanted my last Christmas at home.
Yeah.
At that moment in time. So I joined exactly a month after my 18th. Wow. So I waited 5 or 6 weeks after passing that 3-day course. I don't know how I passed. I don't remember.
You did?
You know, I did. Yeah, obviously I did. And, you know, I was so wet behind the ears. I'd been in para cadets, so I didn't have like a bad fitness.
Yeah.
And I'd been training for years at that point. Even at 18, I'd been training since 15, twice a day running.
Yeah.
So it I wasn't unfit, but I needed to work on my upper body. I suppose most lads do. Everyone can train a run, you know, and then introduce weight gradually, which they do. Yeah. Upper body is totally different, but I obviously had a level which allowed me to pass. So, January 97, and what a shock.
So what was it like then, getting off that stop at Exmouth? You've got is it corporal that meets you?
Yeah, your drill instructor meets you. And they've obviously got a clipboard, and gone back memory lane now. Going back over 27 years, aren't we? God,
you're only 25, Rick.
I know, that's it. I know. It was only yesterday. And no, you don't forget training. You certainly don't. There might be elements. And yeah, you'd known a few, like from the potential recruits course. I'd known a couple of them. And then you're all just thrown into one as an eclectic mix of society and ages, and, you know, and what people had done before, if they had, or whether, more people are educated now university-wise. Obviously, back then there was a difference between the education levels of the men and the officers. Now it's academically it's just quite narrow, I would say, personally, because more people are going to uni, but then joining up. And that's what I would probably say, unless you haven't got any other options. I'd always wanted to do it. But when, it's like that, you grab your kit, you're in, obviously, your suit, and up to accommodation where you're all in one big, it was called induction then, it's called foundation now. And you're all in one big room, 40, 50 of you. And training starts straight away.
Yeah. What is the initial start then?
Well, you get lectures off your drill instructor. The first ones is basically hand washing, how to hand wash a kit, because you've got to hand wash a kit for the first 4 weeks. You can't use a washing machine. So it's like, we called it Dobby. So you learn to Dobby your kit. And then even personal hygiene, even just how to wash yourself,
Yeah, do you think...
so you get the lecture in the shower with him, pull it right here, get this cheese out from behind foreskin and that. And it's just like, really? They're teaching but as people who've never, they might be mollycoddled, they might just not even know how to properly do stuff. So they take you to their standard, and it's a standard which you have to maintain. And there's obviously reasons why for your personal hygiene administration.
I always take it more than a cursory glance at YouTube videos and things about Marines. And I was seeing these young lads come in, and it's into foundation, being taught how to shower and brush the teeth and things. But you've just hit that on the head there. They've got to be to the Marine standard.
To the Marine standard. Yeah. Even if they've been, like, you get guys who've been in the army and they come across to Marines and say, right, you can join us at week 15. They'll join them at week 1. But they obviously didn't know about, pongos. So, as they're saying, obviously, you have to be careful here. Wherever the army goes, the pongos, that's what the Marines say. So, but there's that there is that standard there, and it's same with haircut. A haircut puts you all, a uniform puts you all level, all the same. That's all, but it also gives you identity. It's like you say, the recruit beret. It's not. That's a War Marines beret, the blue one.
Yeah.
And people sort of like, because they changed it. It used to be when you were awarded your green beret on your pass out day, you throw it into the box bin. Well, like some old boy said, wait on, that's the original Royal Marines beret, and you're throwing it in bin. So it's a cap comforter. But then it's like, well, the Commandos wore the cap comforter. They can't win, but it's a cap comforter now, which the Commandos wore during World War II. So, there's respect with it, and you learn respect. And when you say about learning the core history, then tradition, we as a nation, look how proud the Scottish are when they speak of their history and everything else. They speak with passion, and you have to approach this with, because like any tactics and everything else, they're there because their people died. They give their blood, their life for them, because lessons are learned, and their achievements. It's like, Wimbledon and football, go there with Spanish, but like Jeremy Clarkson put out, Gibraltar is still British, and that what War Marines, and that's why we've got a close, and that was 1704, core history.
Yeah.
October 1704, and 21st, I think. If I don't, I'll be people pulling me up. And we held it under siege for around 9 months against the French and Spanish. And that's why we've got a close relationship with Dutch as well, because they were with us with it. So Prince Hesse. There's history there, and obviously the globe and everything else. So we have to honour. You should honour your forebears. It's no different with honouring past family members.
Yeah.
If there's traditions in your family or culture, because it's cultural, then you carry them on, or you pass them on. It's no different with knowledge how they would have done with bushcraft and stuff. It's all passed on word of mouth.
Yeah.
A cave painting throwing a spear ain't going to cut it, So it's exactly the same. The standards are there, and they're passed on each time, the standards. As in, what's expected. We're not on about paper standards. as of what is expected, and you should, and it's achievable. To some, it's not, but it is achievable if it's moral. Surely, I used to get the recruits outside a foundation when I taught recruits, and it were good to be on the other side of the coin, and I'd say, if you lie, you cheat, you thieve, and you bully, you'll be gone. Everything else, if you don't meet the standard and you're putting 110% effort in, I will help you get there. I will give you my extra time. Yeah. If you're the fittest guy and you're coasting, you'll be gone as well. We don't want that. We want somebody who gives their all. And if you're not quite at the standard, we will help you get there. And because you're going to be working with these people as well. But you'd rather be working with someone who always gives their all. Yeah. Because they're never going to let you down, never going to quit. They've got a mindset which is, when it gets tough, they ain't just going to rap. We used to have the saying, wrap your tits in. And it's very easy when you're cold, wet and hungry and everything else. And this goes into the mindset, the commando, it's a state of mind. And it is. And believe me, there's tears, there's angry conversations, there's, that you go through all these emotions behind the scenes. Yeah. People don't see, and when I went for them on these mobile phones, the queues for phone box and everything else. But you just got on with it,
So just we'll move forward with this.
Yeah.
Just take us back to, you said you did 30-week basic rather than...
Yeah, it was 30 weeks then, yeah.
Yeah. So in that first quarter, everything's moving up incrementally to Marine standard. What was your mindset at that time, Rick? Were you just thinking just day by day?
Well, yeah, I mean, the fieldcraft side of it up until, say, the midpoint, for example, which is Baptist Run, is a criteria test of administration and fieldcraft and stuff. I'd done bits of that in para cadets. Right. Administration-wise, I'd done bits and taught ironing and stuff, obviously family military, to a certain extent. They just took it to another level, if that makes sense. Yeah, so whilst there is you have a distant dream of trying to get that green beret, but it in reality ain't within grasp. So you have to try and approach it day by day. Yeah. That's how I did. And it's a culture shock as well. Not for living away, because I'd already lived away from home at that point before I'd joined up. And so it can be a cultural shock for people who are getting stuff done for them. Now you're fending for yourself in that respect. And you have responsibilities, or you're expected to be, using your initiative. And you're an individual, but you still got to be working as a team, because the training team will punish you and the rest of the troop. So you might mess up, Luke, but we'll all get punished. Yeah. Or you might mess up and we'll all be punished. Yeah.
It's good
Not
psychology.
Just you. It is, because we all have strengths and weaknesses. So I remember helping one guy, and he helped me because he was better at doing brasses and I was better at bulling the boots. So we just swap. And I'd do his and he'd do mine. And then it was done, Yeah. When time's precious, there ain't a time to be learning it. Like as in, Yeah. Why? So you just had a knack and that way, and we trusted each other. And you need them trusts. It's called the OPPO, the buddy system. And you learn that straight off the bat. When you join on the Monday, you're in the field on the Saturday for the night. So, it's not tactical as such, but you learn in fieldcraft how to put a poncho up and stuff. Your intro to your rations and stuff. So, and then you obviously yomp back, which wakes people up because they haven't packed the kit properly and stuff. And that's why you taught how to pack your Bergen properly, where it is. Why is it the same? Well, it's so if I need a mission essential kit from yours, I know where it is. I can go to that side of your Bergen in the dark and know it's there.
So tell people how Marines at your induction would have packed the Bergen. Does that stay the same?
Yeah, well, it will, but obviously the kit changes. And it'd be the same with your locker layout. There'd be a locker there, and this is the standard, and that's how your kit's going to be in there. So you replicate it, and it had a glass frontage to the locker, and obviously so it'd have to be there. So all your clothes folded in this A4 piece of paper. So, we used to call it, the magazine for Royal Marines is called Globe and Laurel. So,
Yeah.
So your Globe and Laurel, your kit. And then obviously if it were your socks, your big woolly socks, then obviously you'd have to, like our John instructor, you'd have to obviously have them upturned so they were smiling at you, instead of sad. Or if they're having a bad day, they'd turn them other way and then launch your locker. Or your bed would be going out at window, especially when you moved into accommodation, your 6-man accommodation, everything will get launched. Yeah. And that just might be a bit of dust.
Yeah.
And you just failed the whole lot, and they haven't even looked at your kit. And you just spent all night and you've slept on the floor. So it's mind games. It's mind games. See how they'll react. To put the pressure on. And we know I'll know if you've got the standard or not, or if I want to be a bastard, I'll pick you up. But you do that, it might be right. Just make sure you pick them up.
And your room could be perfect.
Could be perfect. I'll pick you up. I can get you. Anybody can get them, and that's the whole point of it. Is it's the unexpected. How are you going to react when the unexpected happens?
Yeah.
When you think everything's going to plan, I've done all this, and then it's just, and that's what happens when it's none of this clinical textbook. Right? Well, we're going to get shot from there, and then I'm going to do this. No, you're not, and you're going to get hit 360, and it's going to be absolute mayhem, chaos, but people have roles, they have responsibilities, and knowing direction and discipline, self-discipline, and self-motivation is key, because you're a volunteer. I used to say to them, look, if you don't want to be here, fuck off. I'd say that. I don't want you. If you don't want to be here, I'll help you with paperwork, go and see boss. I don't care. I want people who want to be here, and that's what makes it professional, because it's volunteers. So where they're going on about national service, controversial, but there's a lot of people agree or disagree. But my opinion is a voluntary service is more professional because people want to be there.
Yeah.
It's not going to do any harm to society, but we live in different age as well. And I know what we were proposing Rishi Sunak before with national service stuff, but that were more like community stuff, not military. But it won't harm anyone. I think we all can contribute to society in some way, and we all can learn to help this planet. This because we as humans are horrendous to this planet, horrendous.
Yeah, nature builds and man destroys.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's.
So how many were in your induction then, Rick?
So there was nearly 50 of us who joined, and then there were nearly 50 of us.
Does that kind of whittle down to?
It does whittle down. And you go into sections, so you've assigned a section corporal each. And then we had something really funny happen with us troop, and we all got like DMV. So I were on for a superior pass in the gym for the gym tests. Any audience listening, lads who've been at Marines. So you wear a red vest and you all go group together in the gym test and you do the rope climbs and everything else. Well, we were assigned quarantine to us blocked for a week. So that included lectures, phys, everything. Couldn't go to galley, couldn't go for food. You had it brought in the metal trays. Couldn't do a naffy run even though it were opposite. And obviously just getting weaker. Plus DMV. And 14 of us failed the gym test straight afterwards. So we got back coursed. And I was devastated. Absolutely, because I was on for a superior pass. But they had to honour it. The as in, like, couldn't go, well, we've seen him pass before. This is the day. Yeah. So, and if you don't do the 3 rope climbs, and I couldn't make the 3rd for some reason, I don't know. Well, I do know why. Obviously, we're all ill, and I think it's what we've been tanked. They kept it quite quiet, like as in the thrashing and the tanking they're giving us. It used to happen. The tanking's just where the regain rope is. You go in there, crawl back to accommodation, no matter where it is, over the road, up the hill, crawl back. And if you're on top floor, you're crawling up the stairs and everything. Because then you're dirty in it, you've got to clean it, you're mucky in it. And we're all just weak. 14, it were unheard of. Like, I mean, there were massive questions asked at the time. I mean, we were turning up to training team office. When you report to the team office, we were reporting with respirators on. I mean, they must have had a laugh. Like, I mean, I thought my sergeant, I'm not going to mention his name, what evil. Like, really, like, next level. Probably a mega nice guy when you want to recruit. But he were evil. I mean, I just sent shivers. Wacko jacko, that's all I'll say. And, 14 of us. Couldn't believe it. And that troop, 11 people passed out. That's what was on the King Squad, 11. And then I got back trooped, as in on it, to 716 troop. So that's technically 4 weeks back. And I stayed with them foot rest.
Wow.
So I wasn't an original, what they call an original, but I would have been if it wouldn't have been for that DMV. I'm a firm believer in that because I stayed with the other troop. You know, we had Baptist Run. I'd come fourth or something on that as a young 18-year-old. So, you know, even in a new troop. But I was gutted, obviously. Everyone wants to be an original.
Yeah.
But, so a bit...
So your DS training team, were there any remnants of Falklands veterans?
Falklands, one of them was, and some had done Northern Iraq or Pavern. All of them had done Northern Ireland. So you had, and most of them was platoon weapons branch. So PWs and honors. I ended up going PW in the end. But the branch has changed. It always used to be them just at Lympstone, and now at the training centre, all branches of the Marines can go and teach recruits.
Right.
If they're ticked to say they can be a Commando training wing instructor. So they do what's called a 8 weeks weapons skill at arms course. And then it says, are they recommended for Commando training wing? Then, and it'll give yes or no. You have to, seriously be wrong and not be able to be recommended. And I recommend it to any people to text somebody who is wet behind the ears and then watch them pass out, and you've been a factor in that. And then I've got a lot of them on my social media now who are some still serving, Special Forces, quite a few of them are Special Forces. And it's ironic, really. And it's your name on them, but gone are the days where it's like, right, you're on range, you're missing target, get booted in head. It's like that instructor relationship. If they're not getting it, that's the instructor, it's not the student, unless they are full on, you know, being dumb. Then they're going to get it. But, you know, it's like, no, but you can do it by confirmation, by questions, by confirmation. But I could be teaching it and then go, Luke, explain what I've just said. And you'll do it in your own way and somebody will get that. And they might not have spoken up. So you can do it by confirmation by other people. And we all have different learning styles. And they were just bringing a coaching and advisory team in at the time. And you learn about people's that, because you didn't have a clue. You know, and like you've done your leadership stuff, but it's military leadership on your command course. So by knowing people's learning style, that helps. It's funny because I haven't really gone too much in depth, you know, like as in thought about it or speak about it. I'll keep it away from camera.
You're
sponsored by Stella, that's right on me.
Well, we had JD there, Gentleman Jack's there. We keep trying.
Oh, well, JD, Gentleman Jack's my favourite one of them.
Finish that buckle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cheers, Luke. Yeah, right.
Where
were we? Sorry.
I was just thinking, so is your 30 mile of Dartmoor, is that one of your last
Commando tests?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to do the Commando test. It used to be within a week of coming off final exercise, which was a week. Back end of week 28, going into week 29, because the 30th you'd obviously pass out.
Yeah.
So you got 4 Commando tests, and when you come off final exercise, you have the run-throughs, the practice of the endurance course, and the Tarzan assault course. So you're practicing for it. So you knacker, and then you go and do it. So it's changed the days now, but it used to be Friday you'd do the endurance course, and you have to be up at the endurance course, which is 4 miles away, before you start it at a certain time. You're just told, be there at time as a troop, get there.
So you've come towards end of training then. You've been handed your green lid.
Yeah,
proud,
green
proud,
lid.
proud. So
You
what
are
were your
proud.
initial mindset at that stage then?
Well, you say it handed your green lid. You get your flashes for your jumper, your Jersey Wool Heavy, at the end of the 30 miler. Nowadays, they give them the green lid. I don't know why they do that. So we used to finish on a Tuesday, the 30 miler. And then the Wednesday morning, you got the stores, and it'd be like, just chucked it over the counter to you, your green lid. And that night, you'll shape it in whilst you're doing your derby and polishing your boots. Because you're King Squad at that point, which is the senior recruit troop in training. So a bit of what I used to just call them when I was teaching recruits, king of shits, like, you know. And because what you're wearing half drill gear and your peak cap, everyone knows you're in King Squad at that point, because that's what you're aiming for when you're a recruit, not just a green beret. You want to be in King Squad, because you see them marching around. They do look smart. You're just practicing. So your mindset, and then it's just what's to come. It's a big world, you know.
So when are you notified which unit you're going to?
You're told in that week, and then if there's any courses for people to do, they'll tell you, and that's all for specialisations. They call it the direct specialisation scheme, and then they'll say, right, we need X amount of these guys, X amount of that, or X amount of these guys are going to this unit, X amount are going to this. And that's the requirements for obviously the manning wise is dictated in. It's not the troop who, the training team that's already obviously dictated to. So people spread out, like a lot went to 40 courses, some up to 4.5 and a couple I think to 4.2. And then
is there any choice in that, or can you say like, oh?
Yeah, if you wanted to, so they'll say, right, we need someone to do a 6 course. So it'd be like, instead of, if no one thinks, then it'll be, right, it's you. Or, and then obviously you're straight into it. You have a week off. We had a week off, and then they're straight into it. I don't know if that tempo up during the Afghan campaign, but we had people going straight onto pre-deployment training and going straight out on operations, because training gives you a foundation as well. Like any course, it's just a foundation level, isn't it? But it's a standard. It'd be no different to doing MVQ, BTEC, apprenticeship, whatever. It's a foundation level. It's not the real world. So, and then you start again, and you're starting again in your career, aren't you? Because you've just built all the way up to training, come to the top of it, passed, and then all of a sudden it's like, right, you're now going into real world. And that applies to anything, but that's where you're going to go and cut the mustard and, go and cut the grade and crack on. So it gives you a very, very good foundation level, because it's an elite fighting force, and them standards, that Commando, that fitness, that mindset, the tests, the Commando phase of training, which used to be the last 4 weeks, is where you're doing the vertical assault training, the helicopter work, your final exercises, the amphibious side of it with the vessels, with the craft, and that amalgamates in your final exercise. So you've got the basic skills, because you've done, abseiling, you've done all that stuff. The only one you didn't do was the fast roping. I don't know if they do it there now, because you have like gantries on the car parks and stuff spread out in Marines, and you'll, all back at ski slope in 4.5, you can do the fast roping there. Obviously it's different. You're not clipped on.
So when you get to unit, is there any kind of how can I say, people getting picked up at that stage, or
well, when you're in training, you've already picked up people's leadership, because you'll give them what's known as section commanders, and then diamonds. And then diamonds are the only ones who can go for King's Badge if they're worthy of it, and then it'll only be awarded if they're worthy of that honour. So sometimes it's not awarded. So they're evident. It tends to be, not in all cases, but the maturer ones, showing them leadership skills or the stronger character of guys. To say what they're doing, when you do a live section attack in training, them diamonds, them section commanders will be leading it. And that's live, All right, they're safety supervised with the team. So, but they get accelerated pay when they pass out as well. So it could be 6 months. A King's badge, it'll be 12 months. So they're already 12 months ahead in pay and 12 months ahead on the promotional, on your reporting system. So some lads will excel quick if they go into a branch, a specialisation, what might be short corporals, then they could be a corporal within 4 years, 3-4 years. The old days at Marines, obviously, it used to be a longer duration, but people used to be able to stay rifleman general duties, we call it, GD, for the whole career. Now, very rare. If you met TQ, you know you're not going to be pinged for specialisation, or they want you to try and have a specialisation, because that's why the Marines are elite and self-contained. Other than the artillery and the engineers, you've got everything yourself.
Is it 2-9 artillery?
2-9, yeah, and they're at the Citadel, and then 5-9. You've got 2-4 as well. I didn't hear of them before, but I know that they do exist. But 5-9's the independent Commando Royal Engineers up in Chivner, in Barnstable.
Weren't Rusty Furman 2-9 artillery?
I think he might have been, yeah. Or who else am I thinking were 2-9? I can't remember. Dean Stott, were he 2-9?
All right.
Oh no, he was 5-9, wasn't he? I think he was an engineer. 5-9. Yeah, I'd done a couple of the all arms, like safety supervised there, 30 milers. When you're on a training team, you go and help out. So you might do the last 12 miles, or the first 12, or the first 18, or the last 12, or something like that.
Yeah.
You go and help out there, syndicate corporal or team member will lead it, and then you take up the rear. So you all help out at all times.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it weapon and webbing, but you're doing it with safety stores. So just a day sack. So it's all right once you navigate it. You don't need to, once you know the route, you don't need to take your map or your route card out. And you can't fall short, obviously. But being self-contained, it does make you unique, Because there's a standard with the guys working from you, which from the All Arms Commando course, they take them back to basics in training. Because we want them at our standard of things, and then the Commando test shows them that fitness and what can you climb that 30-foot rock. Why we're climbing a 30-foot rock where you could be in jungle, helicopter can't land, can't clear the landing zone. You've got to be able to climb it.
So was the first active service you saw before you became an instructor?
Yeah, and I did Sierra Leone, which was my first operational time, and I did it twice that year as well. It's 2000, so those who've watched Blood Diamond film and stuff like that, which is a very good film actually, it plays a good part, does Leonardo, is the rebels are obviously advancing on, and they're under obviously the control of the diamond mines, the famous short sleeve, long sleeve on things, and they nearly, well, they more or less did take the capital. So the paras went out, one para on basically told like 36-hour op day sacks, and then we were on exercise in France, so we then steamed down. So we were the first Marines to land, was 539 Assault Squadron, other than the exchange officer. 4-2 Commando didn't come ashore for another 10 days, but they were still sailing down from France. So we'd steamed down, and we went ashore, and then they ripped the paras. So the relief in place, and the paras obviously back to Britain. I spent 5 weeks on ground there, and it was like a blocking force as well as riverine patrols and operations.
How many relatively young Marines were on there compared to, old sweats that had
Well,
seen
the unit I was in was more seasoned guys, or squadron, sorry. But no, there were a few of us. There were still, probably 5 or 6 out of 10, probably youngish. Yeah, it was more older unit, compared because it wasn't a fighting unit. Obviously, I went with 4-2 at that point, 4-2 Commando. But we were taking the powers up river. We had to cut the flashes off us. Uniform because he didn't want to know Royal Marines had turned up at that point. Don't know why. For news and stuff, because I remember taking news crews out, and my nan pinged me from a helicopter, and I was going to get a resupply of the fuel from the boat, and I just seen it, so I was like trying to cover myself as I'm running towards the helicopter because it were resupplying us and the Sea King. And I just seen it next to air crew, like the camera crew there. And then when I managed to get my first phone call, like back then, it was, this is 2000, like SATCOMs, it was like a few second delay for my nan. She went, I've just seen you on telly. Which were nice. And then they did an article in, I think it was Telegraph or Mail or something. So my nan had seen it in that because she used to read Mail. So.
And of course, I'm more than presume that everyone's mindset was we want a piece of this action.
Yeah, of course. Well, you don't know you're going to get a medal either. But there was bits. There was a couple of contacts. It wasn't war fighting, so they weren't there for war fighting. You had United Nations there, so I remember like this Kenyans and Jordanian peacekeepers as well. They came in afterwards, after us. Obviously, the President Charles Taylor, Libya. Is it Libya or Liberia? Liberia. E-war. On that, we're a big fucking clip. And
I'll edit that.
Yeah, edit that. And they obviously he were wanting a piece of the Northwest diamond mines. Because ironically, when with Speedy Trevor Cole, who was an Irish Ranger, I was paired up with him when I went out on my last Afghan as Conco, which every company sends a guy out early because you hand over to your own guys. You don't let the other unit hand over to your guy, if that makes sense. So you embed with them, see what's currently going on with your TTPs, your tactics and procedures, geographical, topographical, a bit of the intelligence picture, and then you hand over to your advanced party comes out, and then your guys come out. So it's like a stage management relief in place. And there was a few of them who were the Irish Rangers who were caught and obviously rescued on Op Barras, which Op Palliser was the first, in May 2000, was the first Sierra Leone. Teams had done it before in 99 and stuff like that. Obviously, if you want to go well back, I remember sat in pub with the old boys, and they went, and I just got back, and I used to call them Rat Pack because there were 5 of them, and one were a Battle of Britain Spitfire pilot, used to play professional football for Hull in 30s. Other one were a Matlow, old boy Jack, funny old thing, and he'd be on his brandy and rum, and I was stood in lounge at bar, and they goes, "Oh, you've been away, Rick, again?" I was like, "Yeah." "Oh, where you been?" "Sierra Leone." "All right, I was there in World War II." And I just thought, right, well, I'll just shut my mouth then. And just black-catted me, So they've done it. It's been, obviously Freetown being capital from slave side of things. And it was just May 2000 was Palliser. Then the continued deployment was called Silkman, but we went back again under Op Silkman to do a firepower demo because it were rising again, and basically go, you start messing around, so we're going to kick your ass. And it was during that time, just before the Irish Rangers got caught. And then the powers, obviously Hereford and Poole, SES, SBS, obviously did the hostage rescue under the guise of Op Barras.
Mm.
So I seen all the vehicles after the raid, actually, because they still had all the Gronks boards in back at Wimmick Land Rovers.
Wow.
Oh, and some women on there. It's like, you know. And they all had 0.5 fucking holes and all machine gun holes through engine and all that lot. So, but they got them back, but obviously they shouldn't have been up in that area. But I met a couple of the guys. It's ironic that I met a couple of the guys 8 years later.
Wow.
You know, like in Afghanistan. Like, take it, you know. So, yeah, it's funny how it's like little twists and turns and stuff, which
It's life.
obviously, life. Yeah, you big believer in stuff interlinking or crossing or having meaning or tied in. I've always been a big believer in that.
Did you ever meet Duncan Faulkner?
No. I'll be careful what I say. I know his real name. I've spoke with him. I haven't met him. And my uncle knows him very well. I say my uncle is at that age of being uncle.
Yeah.
And my uncle, well, all I'll say is we're in SBS for 20 odd years and he was asked to write a book. Now, if Duncan Faulkner's reading this, controversial, or listening to this, then why are you using everybody else's dates? That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
And that's apparently what he did
Wow.
by a trusted source, using other people's stories in it. But I've spoke with him on via social media
Okay.
because he obviously knows my family
Yeah.
member. I'm not going to say anymore because obviously my family member doesn't ever want to go public. But he's been asked to write a book numerous times. And did a hell of a lot in a long career. Amazing. I'm like in awe. I thought I was the first War Marine in family I want. He beat me by 25 years.
Spring chicken, really.
Yeah. But it's very interesting and because that's the only book other than the latest one, because that's how David wanted to interview my family member, basically. So to do a book.
Were there any talk of when you first got posted to your unit and you're embedded in and you know what you're doing? Were there any talk at that stage that people wanted to go SB or?
Yeah, I remember being down in Plymouth and there were guys training for it. Yeah. It just seemed to be this secret thing or secret process.
A lot
It's
more
not
than
really,
that.
not more than now, yeah, or back end of my career. But it still sort of is anyway. Guys just get on with it. They'll go and then they'll be training. And you know they're training for something, so it's pretty obvious. And they're going to tell you anyway. You know, a lot of lads, they're fit enough to pass the course. It's whether they're right for the course. Does that make sense? Right for. It tends to be Marines go predominantly SBS. It only ever used to be War Marines into the SBS. Now it's opened up tri-service.
Don't they do collective first selection? And then,
So they've married them to, and it's called UKSF.
yeah.
So when you go badged Hereford, you do the course, and you'll have already stipulated which way you want to go, because it used to be capped for the SES, what Marines like, as in the amount of numbers, 2 per course or 2 a year or something like that from the Marines. I don't know what it is now. It has opened up. And they'll go that way, and then obviously if you've said you're going SBS, you'll go that way. So, but you still do the joint selection course.
I was talking a lot about this with Chris Thrall because we used to have hours and hours of chats and things. And I said to him, I think that people join the services and then the units that really matches the personality.
You look at any team, who are the greatest team? There are a multitude with all different attributes which can work together either individually or as a collective team. And that is unrivaled. That's, obviously I get briefed up on stuff, but you look at it, you can't pin one personality. What a trait you can, because obviously they have to have the mindset to pass it. But then I know guys who you thought, yeah, they're cut for it. Yep, they deserve to be badged, and then they haven't made it, and they've had a stand-up fail in the trees, and you thought, well, where on the DS is a para. There's 2 paras in the 4-man team in jungle, and there's 2 Marines. Who do you think's getting through?
Yeah.
2 paras. So it's one of them. I'm not saying that's the case all the time, but there's going to be a little bit of favouritism there, isn't there? If I was one of the DS and had 2 Marines and 2 paras, and they're going SP, or whatever, I'd be like, who next? Why? I know you shouldn't. It's like, but that's what people might think. And I know people. My mates who are obviously a special force will be going, mate, that's bullshit. It'll go down to the soldiering. But it could be they could just do one fuck up, or they could make a fuck up from it. They could say, well, you didn't do that. But it was perfect. It's not. But there's from what you hear, the lads tell you, and everything else, and it's there's an attribute within everybody to be able to get to that. They've obviously had to pass the course, and there's no shying away from any part of it.
Yeah.
So there's milestones through it with criteria which they've got to pass. People are always going to be interested in secret stuff. It doesn't matter what secret intelligence service it is, whether it be, the military, or look at our interest in the MIs from World War II.
Yeah.
Massive thing. James Bott, look at that.
Talk about that off air.
Yeah, but that's with what was set up with the SOE.
Yeah.
Is no like
and the women that.
Yeah, well, there's a woman on my social media who sent me one of the Normandy beaches, and her great aunt was murdered by the Gestapo as an SOE agent. She was French speaking, parachuted in, compromised, obviously murdered. Like the commando order of Hitler's commando order. You are interrogated and shot within 24 hours. Capture, no exceptions.
Yeah, I always thought they were superlative brave people and SOEs.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Well, it's like you know that order. You'd go down fighting because you're going to get slaughtered in a wood.
So you've come back from Sierra. Did you go to Afghanistan then, or was it Iraq?
No, Afghan was first. What we had was pre-September the 11th. There obviously was a winter deployment. So I'd done the 2 winter deployments by then anyway. Up in Norway, we do the Arctic warfare training. So you want the novice ski survival course, they call it, and the Marines go there all the time. So basically, if Russia attacked, we'd help protect the what's known as the northern flank, and we have done for many years, over half a decade. So do that, and then there's a lot. So there'd be the usual stuff of jungle training, what were known as curry trails, or like there'd be the big exercises, and then what were known as the amphibious task groups, and they'd be amphibious ready groups as well. So they'd be obviously setting sail, go across Med and stuff like that in Indian Ocean, and then there'd be exercises and stuff. Or you might be exercising cross-training with, like I cross-trained with Turkish commandos, Egyptians, crazy, firing live rounds on an exercise. So there are always these exercises going on and deployments, so you're constantly aware. The squadron I was in at the time, and then it was the first Afghan. I didn't see the Twin Towers until a week after, but I was told the minute, obviously, I think after one at Towers had dropped, what had happened, but I just so happened to be with my CEO of the unit, so he'd found out immediately. And then obviously we were going ashore to tell the rest anyway, because it changed everything. Like, so we were supposed to say dock in Marmaris for R&R. We had to go into Aksaz, or this Turkish naval base, to then have his R&R. Yeah. You know, all the beach parties, which Sir Donald Gosling, who owns NCP car parks, he's ex-Navy, he used to put on beach parties for Navy and stuff, and so they were all cancelled across Med, and like we're supposed to go diving, and you know, like I'd had my PADI course already at that point, like advanced diver, so they were cancelled in, you know, Sharm el Sheikh, you know, like Gerda or whatever, in Egypt. So there are all these things getting cut. It's like, oh my God. And then the exercise in Oman still went ahead. And we did all the Purple Beach, it went on as on Safe Syria too. And then it went up to Afghan afterwards. And that was via Oman. But the first lot to do it was 40 Commando, I don't know, Charlie Company or something. And then 4 or 5 went up after. But the first bootneck's 40. I don't know if there was securing background with SPS. And then there was the more well-known Jacana after that. So that was that. Not really anything to write home about on that, to be honest. Right. There's a period where just sort of like, not a lull, but it's like when the Iraq invasion happened, we'd been in Afghan and then it transferred over to Iraq, and a lot of the argument will be, well, if we wouldn't have left Afghan, we wouldn't have had the Taliban coming back across the border from Pakistan, because we had the Northern Alliance, we had all the, there's obviously the local warlords, and it's well above my head and knowledge and experience, but it disrupted it. But it was good soldiering, because there was warfighting. As soon as them bullets fired, you had rotary and fixed wing support artillery, which is an area weapon. Obviously for Ireland, unconventional wise, wasn't like, non-uniform fighting enemy. You couldn't bring them assets in. So you had all the hearts and minds, and we'd built all that up, and that's why we led compared to the Americans, because we had done it for years in Ireland, irrespective of different language. But then when it kicked in at warfighting mode, that's when you earned your crust. Obviously the IEDs and stuff like psychologically used to just brief my guys, and I'd be like, just like, if it happens, you won't know, hopefully. So just try not to stress about it. Obviously we lost a hell of a lot on that last tour, and that with my cousin took its toll. Took its, just the years of losing normal family members, friends, and then like friends from youth, and then obviously colleagues in service, just took its toll. And it's a very mixture of emotions, and I just said I'll just go out and murder people if I go out, and you can't do that when you're in a position of leadership. I didn't really want to do the next ranked job. I was due on my sergeant's courses, and because obviously I wanted revenge. Of course you do. You'd seen it in your own family, Of course you want retribution. You wouldn't be normal if you didn't. And they were only a young lad, Jordan, and it's like it made me really ill. Really ill. And I just didn't want to go and teach recruits as a sergeant, and I knew I would have had to have done that because of my specialisation in weapons. It's like most after, because they need that qualification to run the ranges, the field firing ranges, PW1. So, but between weapons first class. So, and I'd already been down at Lympstone Training Centre as a corporal. So you do all these stuff. I loved being on operations, loved it, thrived in it, enjoyed it. I didn't mind being away, I didn't mind being uncomfortable. I think most lads will say they weren't bothered about being in a firefight. Some lads might say they shit the pants, but I'm a bit too busy sorting everything out, to be honest, to worry about my own shit in my pants. Because you were worried about everybody else. You just didn't. It's organised chaos. But you train to a very high level. You've done it in your courses. You've done it, obviously. You've been operational as a Marine. You're bringing all this experience. You've got experienced guys around you. You're learning from each other. You can listen from each other. And when the bullets fly, you are back in that. But it's all... It's not textbook. It's not pamphlet. You are patrolling the ground how you taught, as in to use it to your advantage tactically and everything else. How am I going to get from A to B? How we're going to move all these sections? We can adjust our tactics. We can do guerrilla tactics back. We're capable. British are only ones to ever have done that. And then obviously the hearts and minds, a natural thing for British anyway. You know, further away from your base, the Taliban are obviously going to have more influence. Further closer to your base, you're going to have more influence. So it's trying to build that ring up out all the time. Obviously, they know eventually you're going to go. You know, they're not an occupying force for, you know, constantly. Obviously, it was a long period. So it felt when fall of Afghan again in 21, was it? Like, you know, coming up to this time, 21. 3 years ago is, well, was it all worth it?
I want to get into your conflict collection, your artwork, which is superlative. No. We'll put links on everywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Just give us a brief resume of your conflict collection work.
Yeah, so now I'm one of the resident artists, Dean Clough in Halifax, Dean Clough Mills, and I have a studio there, and I create military keepsake, personalised keepsake and gifts, and I also collect the earth and sands from battle sites all around the world, and I try and incorporate that, and I've come up with a few things to do that, to personalise them: metal poppies, gin glasses, a timer to 2 minutes, and then artwork with the earth and sand.
It's amazing stuff, that. And didn't you do the conflict poppy collection as well?
God, big talk, too much. We had it nailed, didn't we? You'll have to edit it fucking out.
These outtakes are great.
Does me coughing again. I don't know what he's putting this.
Piece of marble.
Yeah, I used to do the sculpted ones, so we used to be called Conflict Poppy Collection, and then changed it to the Conflict Collection. So anybody searching social media, got some good celebrity support, and I've raised some good money for charity. And I've got a lot of families of the fallen as well, so it means something to them. Some of them to touch the earth and sand where a loved one might have passed. Also, there's a story with everybody what sends me something, because they might have a connection to the military, or might have served themselves, or they're getting it in memory of someone. Might be First World War, Second World War, or, you know, more recent times. And I'm always on hunt for more, obviously. And I think this will outlive me with the earth and sands. I'm up to over about 100 different earth and sands, you know. And there's Holocaust stuff in there, not from the sites. Obviously, I'd never do that. I'd never sell the artworks. That would just be a donation in that respect. But yeah, the personalised metal poppies, so it could be, right, I'm going to do a Royal Marines one with Iraq, Afghan, and Sierra Leone, sand and earth. Or, you know, I'm going to do, you know, Duke of Lancaster's regiment with Northern Ireland sand in Cyprus, because I served there, and I've got them. And there's provenance with everybody what sends me them, you know, from, you know, they haven't just dug it out of bank card. So you can tell by the shirts and everything. Yeah, I know, yeah. So, and it's been good to do little bits of collabs. I'm currently exhibiting in Halifax until Dean Clough Mills with all the resident artists there. Everything from children's office to World Needle. Embroiderers, you know, Chris Mould, who did Iron Man, he's got works up there. I've got to know Chris really well, and some phenomenal artworks. So to be around creative people, but I'm always inspired by sacrifice, and my inspiration comes with my knowledge. I'm constantly learning from my own service and my family's history, and then I'm bringing everybody else's into it. And I create affordable gifts for people, or keepsakes, or mementos. So, and I've never taken the piss with the pricing, you know, and I've donated a lot to charity through proceeds of profits, and I didn't have to do that. I don't have to do that. Where I can, if someone gifts a bit more, I'll then pass it on to, say, family at fallen. If I can do it for free, I will. If not, I can reduce it. So yeah, they can find me across social media on Conflict Collection, and it'd be great to be back in and do some more, do chat some more. There's so much, how we set it up and who's helped, and just, it's phenomenal, like, audience round. It's such a vast subject, it's military.
Yeah.
Just in general, it's amazing. So the people's support has been fundamental, like where yours went, just even get me in on this. So, yeah.
It's been a pleasure, mate. I look forward to part 2, because there's so much from active service that I want to cover.
Yeah.
And I want to cover more artwork and things.
Yeah, and stuff after.
So, and stuff that we can't really talk about.
Yeah, well, we'll talk some of it. I might release some of it. We might give some exclusives. Why not?
So what are your main outlets for Conflict Collection?
So the website's been rebranded, just obviously through rebranding, so it's under maintenance at the minute. So it's mainly Instagram, the Conflict Collection, and then Facebook, the Conflict Collection. People do come in on my personal social media as well. I'll pick and obviously choose who's coming in on that one. But I am on Twitter, but I need to up that, and obviously join TikTok and get down with learning vids and whatnot, reels and threads and shorts and
So when did the artwork come into play then?
I was asked about a year after setting it up in 2019. I asked, could you do this artwork? And I thought, well, I know I can draw. I know I can sketch. Let's just give it a go with paint. So I thought I'll give it a go. So I just started doing some, and then it's sold. I just put it on. Someone said, "Can I buy that?" I was like, "Yeah, all right." How much? I told them, and they're like, "Yeah, definitely." Wow. So it just went from that, and I've never charged extortionate stuff, but what I do get is repeat custom. So there's a balance there between affordable gifts, affordable keepsakes, personalised items. And you think with some of the stuff I create, is that going to be binned when that person passes away? And you think, I'd like to think some of them items I'm creating, the timer, the poppies, probably the gin glasses, the artwork with the sand and soil, they will be passed down. The fridge magnets, the quirky bullet fridge magnets. So there's little things there. I'm not trying to over commercialise it. We've got a poem as well. I've had written for the Conflict Collection as well. Like T-shirts and all. I could bring that in but I don't want stock. And quality gear, you need stock because it's. I don't just want it to, you can just plug in and pay, and it's a third party who deals with it. So we're going to have to look at some stuff, but cards. Going to work on some watercolor cards and them, some satirical military humour cards, digital designed, and then there's a few other things, like I said, with audience, with King, was to where my benchmark as to where I want to end up being. So even if it stopped there, it won't matter. But I think like the Earth Sands will pass on to someone, and then that becomes a collection, and then they can do with it, or it goes in a museum or whatever, because there's history with each story of where it's from, in vast numbers, or each story, and then there's history of the people who's sending it. I record that for myself. I don't make that public unless they're happy for me to say who's got it. But they've all got a tie-in. In some way, it could be distant relative and whatever, but it's got a story. But then the place has, whether it's modern, I've got everything from Cyprus, Falklands, different battle sites in Falklands from key people at the time, some really rare ones. Some ones like Somalia, where you wouldn't even know that a British forces guy was in Black Hawk Down, one of the little bird pilots.
Wow.
War Marine.
I did not know that.
Shot on the start line in the Falklands as well. So proper ended up being my CO. And that's there's First World War, Second World War, from some known battles, like Turkey, obviously, Gallipoli wise. I've done the Anzac Firm with the soldiers, with the Australian and New Zealand battle sites of First World War, plus Sam from Australia, you know. So it's like you're mixing it in. So, but it just gives it a different take. And a funny thing someone said to me when I was showing them around the studio, they went, what is sand and soil worth? I said, well, what's paint worth? It's only the hand what applies it and the meaning which portrays with it and what someone's willing to pay. But it makes it unique. Show me, you can do sand art and you see the light box stuff and everything else, but show me, I'm not talking stuff with a camel in a bottle. You know, it's like I've done Africa and Asia elephants with the Africa and Asia sand and earth. You know, so it's just different. And obviously it's still conflict because of ivory, but I've done it just in a normal, you know, nature, just not under military. That wasn't there, but it is still technically conflict because it is.
I think these cameras might have
Gone off.
but if they haven't, just thank you very much, Rick, for this.
Oh, thank you, mate.
I really look forward to part 2.
Yeah.
Get down to some more nitty gritty.
I'll do some reading up. Do some research.
And I'll write some notes that spelled right.
Yeah. Yes. What do you mean you can't spell my name right?